know I'm a new show is mean, do the meanest old woman that I ever seen. But I guess if you said so, pop, pop, I better pack a thing and go. That's right.
So stop me if you've heard this before, alright? I mean, just tell me, shut the fuck up, potato. Mag is terrible. Mag is useless, or Mag is just plain bad, and you should avoid playing as Mag. It's something that gets said a lot in the Warframe community, right? It's the narrative that gets passed around. By the way, if you told me shut the fuck up, I'm going to ignore you and just keep going anyway. But saying Mag is bad is really not true. It's like how I originally felt with regards to Hydroid. I called him crap, I called him bad, but then after playing him a lot, thanks for that, I realised he was incredibly effective at certain things. Granted, one of those things was turning into a puddle so I could watch Rick and Morty on Netflix, but hey, priorities, right? But Mag is not bad. If you think she is, then maybe it's time for you to revisit her, mess about with your build and see just how good she can be. Yes, Mag is fragile. I mean, a gust of wind has the potential to knock her out or knock her on that big domed forehead of hers. Yes, she is one of those Warframes that if you stop moving for a split second at higher levels, you do run the risk of getting one shot. You're dead. Simple as that. Especially if you decide to run a mission like, say, the Void Survival one, MOT. On that tileset, nullifiers and bombards beyond a certain period of time in that survival have the potential to one-shot you from across the room. Seriously, fuck those guys. So, to show that Mag is far from bad and far from useless, quite the opposite, giggity, I ran a 1 hour MOT survival to see how effective she was without using Magnetize. I didn't want to use Magnetize and I wanted to focus on crowd control with her counter pulse augment. Of course, you're only as good as the weapons you bring along, and my setup was nothing special. I had 100% status Stun Wraith as my weapon of choice due to how fast it strips armor at higher levels. I had the Artax for my Sentinel for added crowd control as well and auto aim. It is modded for blast so it knocks enemies on their ass, and I have the Sicarus Prime for popping nullifier bubbles. Now of course I could have brought something else. The Zakti is incredibly good at melting nullifier bubbles, but I didn't really want to bring that, and it's been a while since I used the Sicarus and it looks cool, so I just wanted to bring it. Now if someone like me who barely ever, and I mean barely ever, uses Mag can last up to an hour in a Void Survival, especially on MOT, then I'm sure you guys can do a hell of a lot better than what I can do. So this whole build revolves around her counter pulse augment, which jams enemy weapons and disables robotics for 4 seconds when they get hit by her polarize. This is also affected of course by duration mods. Now when running Mag, I've never been a big fan of her Magnetize ability. It always feels like it's getting in the way and can cause your shots to not hit home if you're too close to the bubble when shooting. And by that I mean if an enemy is to the side of it and you're too close to the bubble and start shooting at that enemy, then of course your shots get sucked into that bubble. So I tend to not use her Magnetize. Of course it can also be annoying for squad mates as well. And also her Magnetize ability performs much better with certain weapons like the Lanka, the Detron, the Zakti, the Dragoon, the Penta and a few others. So personally I would prefer the freedom to bring any weapon I wanted without having to rely on that kind of a gimmick with projectiles getting sucked into the Magnetize bubble in order to kill everything in the centre of it. However, building for her Magnetize with normal ranged bubbles that you can place around the mission or the tile set to create choke points is really effective and fucking good as well. But again, Bubble Mag isn't for me, so I decided to build her a different way. I decided to build her around her Polarize and the Counter Pulse Augment. But of course you are free to use all of her abilities, which at times you will need to. Pull is really good at knocking down Ancients because they're not affected by that Counter Pulse Augment, so you can knock them on the ground with Pull and then shoot them in the head. Magnetize can still be placed in doorways and hallways in order to create those choke points if you need it as well. Now for my build I went for a balance of basically everything. Duration for the expanding of your Polarize ability, range for the initial size of that Polarize when you cast it, and of course for pull as well. And I went for efficiency because you're going to be using the ability a lot. I went for some power strength, I guess, to help with some of the armor stripping from Polarize, but at higher levels that damage isn't going to do a whole lot. Now if you haven't revisited Mag in a while, then maybe give her another look. I have kind of been singing nothing but praise for her here. But of course she has got downsides. She is incredibly fragile. Like I said, you do need to keep moving or you will fucking die. She is, however, a really good frame with multiple different builds right now, and I actually went about trying to mix a counterpulse augment and crush augment into the same build to keep them in place and strip more armor as well, but it felt like a wasted mod slot for that crush augment. So let me know what you think of Mag in the comment section below. I have been using her a lot since she got the counterpulse change to that polarized augment. Do me a huge favour and hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.